Hello, and welcome to Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. I'm your host, Alex Trust. Welcome to episode 10. Who would have thought we'd make it this far? I'm still talking, you're still listening? What the fuck? Hey, I'll take it though. I'm glad you're still listening, and I'm glad I'm still talking because that means I'm alive. So let's do this thing. This week we're going to do things a little different. Just like we have in the past, we're not going to follow the basic formula. This week, I'm going to do a reading first by a friend of mine, Don Gusto. This is just a simple Facebook post that he put up, but it was his status change, and it really hit me hard. So I'm going to read that first, and then we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to have a piece of music. And then we're going to have a reading of T. O'Shea's new book, Zoe and Me, even though I haven't finished Henchman yet. Well, T. O'Shea wants something for you guys to buy, so he's not going to finish it until you guys start buying it or start paying attention to it. So if you want to hear more, please email me at sexdrugsandeverythingelse@gmail.com, and T. O'Shea will know that you want more, and he will give you more. But he's not giving me any more chapters until you tell me to, so we're going to read something else by him. Anyway, so you ready to do this shit? I am. Alright, here we go. Alright, welcome to episode 1 of Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. Basically, what I want to do is read something from my buddy Don Gusto, good friend of mine on Facebook, and I can't sum it up any better than how he already has, so I'm just going to read this. I know I can be very distant at times, and even though social media makes it easier for me to show some love, I'm a natural loner. Always have been. I battle with myself every day, mixed with taking on other people's problems because I know I can help, and consistently working on myself. It's a lot. Sometimes I feel my purpose in life is to only be in people's lives, just to help them experience someone caring for them in that moment. Sometimes I feel I'm not here to have a wife and kids, even though I have love for someone and want children one day. Sometimes I feel like a burden in people's lives. So the way I cope with all these things, when I work on myself, is by keeping to myself. Chadwick's passing has made me think about friends and family, and I want you all to know I love you all, and that won't ever change. Thanks to everyone that checks on me every once in a while. It is appreciated. It's time we appreciate life a little bit more. May everything we go through work out in our favor. 100%. So what do you think? Should we talk about that for a minute? He's basically expressing all of life's purpose and all of life's woe all in one paragraph. That's pretty fucking awesome. Now, I have read this man's, well, for all I know, he could be a woman. I've seen pictures. He'd be an ugly woman. But I have read this man's Facebook posts, and he is one of the great poets of our time. I've actually featured him on one of my podcasts, him doing one of his freestyle raps, and it was fantastic. And that was just something that he did off the cuff, completely. And I think that's what he mostly does, is just straight off the cuff. I know he thinks about shit, obviously. Did you listen to that post? It was like poetry. And I guess what I want to talk about today is collecting good people around you, because since I've started this journey of mine, not just the podcast, I've started a charity, and I usually don't talk about that on the podcast because I don't want to cross promote, basically. But my wife and I have done that, and we're helping people, and we are trying to, even more than that, not just help people, but educate people. And as we educate people, we're educating ourselves. Because when I started this journey, I was lost. Absolutely lost. And by going on this journey, I'm a little bit found. Kind of like stopping at an inn, a crusty old inn with the big wooden sign that says Ye Olde Tavern or something on a dusty, muddy trail. I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly. Oh, that's right. I remember now. Collecting good people around you. So, since I've started this journey, I've collected a lot of good people. And I shouldn't say collected. That sounds like I'm getting porcelain dolls or something. That's kind of creepy. But I've found so many good people on Facebook, on Instagram, not so much on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Got scammed on LinkedIn last week. Lady said she'd give me a job as a personal assistant, and I fell for it. Sent her my application and everything. She said I was hired for fucking bullshit. That's what it was, because we figured out, my wife and I, that it was a total scam. Luckily, I didn't give out my social security number. Not that anyone could do anything with it. My credit is wrecked. How many people out there, their credit are just wrecked, and they don't even have to worry about identity theft? I'm still worried about it a little bit. Like, what could they do? How much could they make it worse? How much more could they make it worse? How much more? But anyway, mostly I found good people, not scammers. Although I found a lot of scammers too. But mostly I found good people. I try to, I don't know, focus on that. I guess I found 50-50, to be honest with you. Oh shit, I'm crucifying my own point, but I have found good people. So there's at least 50% of not good people, because there is no good and bad. Decent, educated, in the right things type of people. People that are thinking, people that are trying to better themselves, not in a material way, but in a mental and spiritual and metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, way. Religious, if you want to call it. It doesn't matter. But I've met these people. I had a great conversation with this guy. I want to say his name is Mark. And he lives in Australia. I talked to him for 2 hours on video chat, because video chat is free. You don't get charged. I have reconnected with my boy JR, and he has been a fantastic resource. We used to hang out back in the day just doing drugs and partying and stuff, but we had good conversations back then too. I just can't remember any of them. But now I remember all our conversations. I haven't even seen him again yet. We mostly just talk on the phone once in a while on, Facebook or whatever, but mostly on the phone. And he's just such a good guy. And he has such powerful, strong, healthy, perfect, whole ideas. It makes me want to be wealthy and loving and harmonious and happy and grateful. Yeah, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit, doesn't it? That's okay, though, because that's how I feel. That's how my wife feels, too. I am so happy and grateful now that you fill in the blank. Come on, fill in the blank. I am so happy and grateful now that. What did you do that you're so happy and grateful for? What have you done that you're so happy and grateful for? Is it that you have a fucking bitchin' Jeep and a Dodge Challenger in your driveway of your mansion? Or is it that you helped 700 people get nice housing that's not shitty trailers or ghetto bullshit? You know, my wife and I were talking about buying an industrial grade 3D printer. And with these, you can fabricate housing for a 350 foot square house for under $4,500. Now, that's the size of a small one bedroom apartment, but you can make it anything you want. And one of the first things she said was, we should buy a piece of land and put all these houses on it. And I said, hell no, you're just going to make another ghetto. The government's already done that shit. We don't need to do that shit. No, what we need to do is put them up in different areas where we can find property. And we'll make them look so nice. We'll make them look so awesome and artsy that people will welcome them into their neighborhoods. It won't be like the HUD houses where it's just they all look the same. They all look like, I mean, and I'm not saying that HUD isn't a great organization. I am not saying that, because they absolutely are. So support them, work for them, give to them. They're awesome. They're providing housing, so I'm all for them. But what we can do better than that. We can make these houses look so nice and so unique that people will welcome them into their bougie neighborhoods, no matter who's moving in there, as long as the people aren't assholes. And that's going to be a caveat. You gotta not be an asshole, you know, playing your music really loud and having shitty friends over and pulling guns and shit like that. You just have to be a decent human being, and that's all good. Now, a lot of people, as soon as I said that, I know what you were thinking. Nah, that ain't what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. White people are welcome too. I know we're assholes. I know we wear a lot of white tank tops and live in trailer parks, but we're welcome too. I swear to God. So anyway, I don't know. What do you think, guys? Do you think we can pull it off? I think with the right people we can. Does it matter if we can pull it off? We're all just here to experience what we're here to experience. One way or another, everything's going to be okay. I guarantee it. How can it not? I know that sounds a little new agey, like I'm running a healing crystal over my taint right now, but I'm not. I swear to God, I don't have a taint. Oh wait, I meant I don't have a healing crystal. Ha ha ha. I should not make jokes. I'm really bad at them. But that's okay, because my taint will be getting licked by my wife tonight, and she will enjoy it and I will enjoy it, and there will be no crystals involved. So I guess that's all I have to say on the subject. Thank you, Don Gusto. I'm sorry to put your name in a sentence very close to talking about my taint, but that's just the way it worked out. So we're going to go on to segment 2, where we'll continue to talk about this, but in a completely different way. We're going to get a little negative. All right. Welcome to segment 2 of episode 10 of Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. Alright, we're going to have two sides to this argument, so I'm going to go a little to the negative. I am not going to besmirch anyone's ideas because I think they're valid and genuine, but I am going to say, you know, life is a motherfucker. I'm quite sick of it. I'm sick of having mental illness. I'm sick of having addiction issues. I'm sick of having joint pain and hip pain and fucking back pain and sciatica. And as much as I try and better myself, I am consistently fucking let down by other people. As many good people as I meet, I fucking meet just as many scammers and assholes and degenerates and fuckers. And you can put me in that category too, because I have been and might be again a right bastard. That's all I can say about that. I'm not going to go into my history. Fuck that. I was a bad person. I was a criminal. I was a drug addict. I'm still struggling with a lot of those issues, although I don't steal. I don't lie. I don't do any drug that I think I'm going to get addicted to. That doesn't always work out. It has for the most part, but sometimes even I fucking overdo it. The other night, I went to do a podcast with my friend, and I drank and smoked weed, drank some vodka, and I was so fucked up that the entire podcast was unusable. And that's my fault. It's totally my fault. You know, I didn't do any more than I usually did. I thought I was fine, but I was not. So it's 50-50. Life is motherfucking 50-50. I guarantee it. You know, as many good things as are going to happen to you, there will be just as many bad things that will happen to you. And I don't know what to tell you about it. You just have to deal with it. Don Gusto points out that he's always trying to better himself, and so that's why he stays by himself. Well, I have to say, I stay by myself most of the time, even when I'm trying to better myself, because people piss me off, and it's really hard to focus on bettering myself when they're around. Oh man, there's no peace when other people are around. But what the hell? We are social animals, and, you know, we need each other. We absolutely need each other. But goddamn, you guys piss me off so much. I know I piss you off just as much. What are we going to do about that? How do we become friends? You know, I say it's so simple. Kindness, compassion, empathy, giving. But people make it so hard. You know, you give to them, and they spit it right back in your face. You give them kindness. What do they repay you with? Betrayal. You give them compassion. What do they give you back? Bullshit. You give them empathy. What do you get back? Nothing. A gain of no results. It's a null void bomb, if anyone gets that reference. And then giving. Oh, forget about it. Giving? Well, I gotta say, alright, caveat here. I have to say I've received as much as I've given. If not much, much more. I've received much, much more. So, how much have you received? And how much have you given? How much empathy have you shown? And how much bullshit have you gotten in return? How much compassion has been given to you, and how much pain and heartache have you caused other people? How much kindness, just on a daily basis, how many times do you smile at other people when they smile at you, or you just walk by them and say, oof, what are you so happy about? It's weird, right? You'd think it'd be an easy thing to do. Someone smiles at you, you smile back at them. I've spent most of my life thinking, what the fuck are people smiling about? There's nothing to smile about. Honestly. What is there to smile about? Well, there's a million things to smile about, but there's a million things to frown about too. It's all about choice. It's the choice you have to make. Are you going to be a miserable goddamn human being, or are you going to help the world? just with a smile, with a laugh, with a positive attitude. That's all you need. But some people will say, oh no, there's too many problems. There's too many problems. You know, it's kind of like Joe Rogan said. He did this bit on going to Mars. You know, people say, oh no, we're running out of fresh water. We're running out of fresh water, so we got to go to Mars. And he's like, his contention is, and he puts it, I'm not going to try and tell as a joke because as you all know, I'm terrible at telling jokes. But basically his contention is, we don't have a water problem on Earth. We have a salt problem. The Earth is 70% water or something like that. People have gotten on me about my statistics. Did you know that most statistics are made up 80% of the time on the spot? Anyway, so his contention is, we don't have a water problem. We have a salt problem. Let's figure out how to take the salt out of the water. Nah, dude, we got to go to Venus. We got to learn how to colonize Venus. We got to learn how to, live in that hot climate. You know, Venus doesn't have any water. Venus has a poisonous atmosphere. Mars has no water. Except maybe under the surface if you drill for it and then melt it. Okay? Both those planets barely have atmospheres. But we're going to go there. That's our solution to running out of water. This is basically what Joe Rogan is saying. It's fucking hilarious how he describes it. So, yeah, we look at our problems all wrong. Alright, dude, the UN ain't working, so let's abolish it and, start a new world order. Or we could just be really nice to each other and start local government and, self-govern. Nah, bro, war's too much. War, it's unavoidable. It's the human condition. Or we could be nice to each other and say there's no reason for violence under any circumstance. But what about if someone attacks you, bro? Yeah, if someone attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. However, the reason they had to attack you in the first place is bullshit. Whatever it was, there's always a better way. Violence is never a solution. There's always a better solution. But bro, what about poverty? Oh, we can't solve poverty. There's too many people. Overpopulation. Oh, that's a double whammer. Population control and fucking poverty. Holy shit. I don't know. Let's try education. So people will be more, what's that word? Educated. And so maybe they'll have smaller families and live within their means instead of the way we're taught by religion and by society and by government. If you don't have a big-ass TV, bro, you're fucked. You're fucked, dude. If you don't have 2 cars and a big-ass house, oh, forget about it. You need to have 7 kids, some religions say. You gotta have a lot of kids. Otherwise, no. That's all historical nonsense. It's all historical nonsense. You needed 7 kids back in the day because 5 of them were going to die and you needed 2 of them to take care of you when you were older and you were crippled and weak. So all these problems can be solved in very simple ways, but we put these complex goddamn questions in front of them. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are we going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? I don't know. I'm just going to be kind, compassionate, empathetic, and giving as much as I can. You guys figure out all the rest, because that's my one simple message. Alright, good night. Coming up next on Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else, we are going to have a 3rd week of the same band because they are fantastic. Either that, or I'm going to get Don Gusto to do a freestyle real quick since this is his episode. Let's see what happens next on Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else with your host, Alex Trust. All right, here we go. Now for Don Gusto.
Mister, gotta keep on being on the move. Don't be stagnant. Seeing all my dreams and all these things that I do not have yet. When will we find what we're searching for this time? You've been looking more confined. Don't be hurting your own shine from the floor. Now I'm coming up. Opposite light from Donald Trump. I could just fight to start giving up all the choices that we've been given straight from the jump. In this cold, cold world we live, in the homeless we wish we all could just have. Too far away to just grab. There's a place where the opposition's trying to keep you in this space. They said it up like we all are in a race. Feeling like the world gon' end. Push from the wind to such within. Feeling like T'Challa meant to kill Manga. R.I.P. Chadwick, I wish he lived longer. Now he lives inside of me, I see the will stronger. Wanna help save the world, but first I gotta save myself. Polish up like a new fine pearl. Let them know that you are well. I wanna help save the world, but first I gotta save myself. Even if your path do have curls, kill go till there's nothing left. Wanna help save the world, but first I gotta save myself. Polish up like a new fine pearl. Let them know that you are well. I wanna help save the world, but first I gotta save myself. Even if your path do have curls, still go till there's nothing else. Gotta care more about the people. Keep a mindset of a hero. Keep a mindset of a hero. Levitate only up is where we go. Oh, gotta care more about the people. Keep a mindset of a hero. Keep a mindset of a hero. Levitate only up is where we go.
Okay, that's Don Gusto with Gotta Have the Mindset of a Hero. And that's gonna wrap us up, except for what's coming next. Get ready for it. All right, what'd you think of that? Pretty good, huh? That's what I always say, though, so you probably don't trust me. That's okay. You don't have to. You just have to listen. Anyway, coming up on our next artistic portion, we're going to listen to a reading by T.O. Shea and his novel Zoe and Me, Chapter 1, coming up next on Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. Zoe and Me, Chapter 1, by T.O. Shea. This is the story of the worst 2 years of my life. This is the story of the best 2 years of my life. This is a tale that will make you cry with the tragedy of it. This tale will make you laugh with joy in your heart. I will tell you of horror and pain. I will speak of love and kindness. This is a story about the flaws of humanity. This is a story about the wonders of being alive, about the confusion and seeming purposelessness of life for 2 American youth. This is a story of our times. So, of course, there's lots of drugs and sex. Enjoy. I'm writing this from prison, just so you know right from the start. I don't make any excuses for the things I did, although I wish it all turned out differently. Believe me, I've run it through my head over and over. I've nothing but time. I met Zoe 6 years ago. She was the wife of an old friend of mine, Rodney. I'd known Rodney since high school, and so when he got married, he couldn't wait to show off his new wife to me and a few other guys in our circle. I was not all that impressed. Zoe was beautiful, sure. Good body, pretty face, legs to die for. She seemed nice enough, but to be honest, didn't seem to have that much of a personality past what Rodney provided for her. She seemed kind of a bore. Talk about mistaken first impressions. The first time the three of us really hung out, we went for drinks. Zoe was about 6 months pregnant at the time, so she did the driving. Me and Rod proceeded to get good and shit-faced at 2 or 3 bars. Zoe didn't seem to mind us carrying on and goofing off until Rodney brought out some coke. I could see her face in the rearview mirror, and she was not happy. Rodney sat in the front next to her, and I was in the back in the center. As he chopped up a couple of fat lines for us on a CD case, I could see her become more and more distracted and angry. Rod rolled up a dollar bill and snorted one up. He handed me back the case and the bill, and I quickly did mine. As the cocaine settled nicely in my brain on top of the alcohol, I sat back and sighed in contentment. "That's good shit, bro," I told Rodney. "Where'd you get it?" "Right? It's that fire!" Rodney turned around excitedly. "I got a new connect on the east side. My cousin got..." Rodney didn't get to finish, so he slammed on the brakes. Brakes locked, car skidding sideways and fishtailing in the middle of a fairly busy street. Slammed. As the car shuddered to a stop, she vented her rage. "You asshole! You dirty little cocksucker!" she screamed at Rodney. "You promised! You know how hard it is for me not even having a drink, and you go and pull that shit out in front of me? Don't you think I'd like to get high? But I can't, 'cause I'm fat and I'm hideous." She had been slapping Rodney, flailing at him over a very pronounced baby bump. Now she just collapsed in tears, her sobs shaking her whole body. Rodney and I exchanged glances. We both shrugged. Rodney knew what he had to do. He soothed her and told her she was beautiful. He told her she was along the right thing, doing the right thing, keeping herself healthy for their baby. He told her everything was going to be all right. Her crying started to subside. She looked up at him, her tear-stained face beseeching him to be telling the truth. "Really? Our lives aren't over, right? We can still have fun once the baby comes." She didn't take her eyes off Rodney. Rodney was no actor, but he knew what was good for him. "Course, baby. 3 more months and you'll see. Everything will be beautiful. Trust me." He smiled at her and gathered him into his arms. They both told each other how much they loved each other, and they kissed and they hugged. How sweet. Gag. Guys," I ventured after a few drawn-out moments. They broke apart and both looked back at me. She was glaring. He was smiling. "We're still in the middle of the road. Unless you want to go to jail, I suggest we get the fuck out of here." I'll give it to both of them. They didn't say a word. They knew the score. Crazy or not, we got the fuck out of there. We hit another bar. This time Zoe had 1 beer and a cigarette. This was back when you could still smoke inside places. Gone are the salad days. I asked Rodney if she should be drinking and smoking. He shrugged and told me to tell her she couldn't have 1 beer. I looked at her, smoke curling out between her full lips, her gaze looking off into the distance. It was what I've heard of as described as the 1,000-yard stare. Soldiers develop it in combat. Cops from far too long on the street. Survivors get it from doing just that, surviving. I understood now that this girl had been through some shit. I decided she could have her beer and I'd keep my opinions to my fucking self. Rod and I went to the men's room and snorted 2 more fatties, each of his excellent blow. At that point, we were feeling no pain. So when we got back to the bar and Zoe said we needed to go take care of something, we said, "Sure!" She got behind the wheel, her mood seemingly much improved, and cranked the radio to high volume. The Dropkick Murphys Irish punk fusion rode my coke buzz hard, getting my head to bobbing and my mindset aggressive. Zoe drove like a woman possessed, taking turns at dangerous speeds and running yellow lights at ragged edge of red. I couldn't hear the conversation they were having in the front seat. The music and the cocaine had me in a mindless euphoria at that point anyway, so I wouldn't have cared had I heard it. I was about to find out all about it and get a dose of girl crazy like I hadn't seen in years, to boot. Apparently, Zoe had called her sister from the bar. Her sister's boyfriend had cheated on her, broke up with her, and allegedly slapped her. It was now Rodney's job, according to Zoe, to go beat this ex-boyfriend's ass. We were on our way there now, and Rodney said he'd appreciate it if I'd back him up if the boyfriend wasn't alone. Well, like I said, I was geeked on coke, drunk, and psyched from the loud punk music, so I said, "Okay, I'm in!" As we got closer to this poor schmuck's house, however, I started to have some doubts about how smart this plan was. I didn't know anything about this situation other than what I'd been told by two very unstable people. I was at a point in my life where I was prone to taking irresponsible risks, but I hadn't become truly criminal yet, so my brain was at war with itself. On one hand, this was a stupid idea that most likely would end badly, with me being hurt or arrested. On the other hand, I was young, drunk, high on coke, so fuck it. Fuck it. Like I had so many times before in my life, fuck it won that battle hands down. What can I say? Rod busted out more coke. We parked down the street from our victim's house. His name was Johnny, and Johnny lived with his mom. Oh great, I thought. The mom's gonna call the cops at first sign of trouble. I should have known better. But once again, I said, you guessed it, fuck it. The plan was this. Zoe had Johnny's number, so she would call him on her cell and tell him she was outside with some of his stuff that Zoe's sister wanted to return to him. When he came out to get it, Rodney would kick his ass and we would go get more beers. I would only have to do anything if Johnny was not alone. Sounds rational, right? Beer and cocaine make everything sound fun. Zoe made the call and set things up. She pulled the car closer to Johnny's place, just a few houses down. Johnny came out and walked over to the car. He was by himself. I sighed in relief. I wouldn't be needed. Of course, that was based on Rodney doing his part. I'd forgotten that although Rod was a big guy and liked to talk tough, he was essentially a big fat pussy. So that's where the problem started. The confrontation was a pathetically playground display. Rod got out of the car and strode up on the poor, unsuspecting Johnny. He got right in his face and started yelling and cursing at him. He told Johnny that Johnny had fucked up, and now Johnny would pay for it. Johnny was in trouble, he said, and then he did absolutely nothing. Pussy. They yelled back and forth, bumping chests and giving each other a little shove once in a while. Zoe was pissed. I thought it was hilarious. She stuck her head out the window, beeped the horn to get Rod's attention, and yelled at him to get on with it already. Was he a man or a little bitch? I could see Rodney visibly sag. He knew he couldn't back down. I was now laughing my ass off. I couldn't stop. Zoe screamed at him, "Kick his ass already!" And the poor bastard actually said, "Yes, dear," in a weary tone, and squared up, hauled back, and punched old Johnny right in the ear. Zoe laughed in triumph. I dissolved into uncontrollable laughter myself. Johnny reeled backwards and fell on his butt in the grass. He yelled out for help, and before we knew it, Johnny's 3 brothers were running from the house. They were closely followed by Johnny's mother. The laughter died in my throat as I realized that now I was fucked. I jumped out of the car and was immediately knocked over by a flying tackle. I threw some punches, managed to make it back to my feet, and fought 2 brothers off for a few moments. I was quickly overmatched, though, and found myself on the ground again. My jaw hurt, and I was getting a boot stomping. I saw that Johnny and one of his brothers were giving Rodney the same treatment. Johnny's mom had not called the cops. Johnny's mom was cheering her boys on. I caught a shoe to the head and saw stars, so I don't know for sure what happened next. I'm pretty sure, though. I remember seeing Johnny's bitch of a mom jumping up and down and cheerleading our beatdown. I remember seeing Rodney almost make it to his feet to get his legs kicked out from him under him. I remember thinking I was going to die. Probably not in retrospect, but it felt like it at the time. My vision started to fade as I took another kick to the head. I remembered hating that the last thing I might hear on this earth would be the supremely annoying voice of Johnny's mom screaming, "Get 'em, boys, get 'em!" Then I heard, "Look out, Johnny," and then a loud thwack and a scream. I peeked past my arms and saw Johnny go down. Zoe stood over him with a piece of 2x4. She stepped past his writhing form and gave one of the brothers attacking me the business. I was amazed. It wasn't so much this woman was pregnant's belly peeking out from the bottom of her tight pink t-shirt, which declared, "I'm pretty," in big black letters, was suddenly an ass-kicking machine. It was the casual ease with which she dispensed her violence. She stepped up to brother number 2 and swacked him one on the forehead like she was at the batting cages practicing her swing. "You want some too, motherfucker?" she screamed at the remaining 2 upright brothers. She swung her weapon back and forth in front of her, turning toward one, then the other. "Get lost, losers," she said with disdain when they didn't respond. "You bitch! You hurt my boys, you bitch!" This from Johnny's mom. She strode up to Zoe aggressively. "I'm calling the cops. You all are going to jail." Zoe didn't hesitate. She hit that annoying woman right in the stomach, knocked the air right out of her. Shut the bitch up, thank God. "Go right ahead, call the cops. See how they like the fact that 4 dudes attacked a pregnant woman just trying to return your asshole son's stuff. Then when my boyfriend and his friend tried to protect me, they got double-teamed and stomped on. The ground. Doesn't sound like self-defense to me. Yeah, go ahead, I'll wait." Silence. Dead silence. Johnny's brothers actually were looking at their feet like little boys, ashamed of themselves. "Now get!" she told them. They collected their wounded and headed back toward their house. "That's what I thought," she called after them. "Bitches," she added, laughing. "Come on, you pussies," she told us as she helped Rodney up. "They might change their minds about the cops, and I don't want to be around if they do." She put her husband in the car, and I got in the back. "You know, you might think I should have been grateful. She saved our asses and all. Damn it, though, that crazy bitch got us into this shit in the first place. You know what else? I found out later that Johnny never hit the sister. Zoe made that shit up. What a nut job. Right?" We went and had more beers, as promised. Zoe had a few more this time, too. We even did some more of that good coke. Zoe restrained herself to half a line. So that was chapter 1 of Zoe and Me by T. O'Shea. I hope you liked it, because there's plenty more where that came from. And that's all he's given me right now. So what am I supposed to do? Alright, guys, that's going to do it for this week. I hope you think about what I said, and I hope you talk about what you think. Always. So if you ever want to get a hold of me, sex, drugs, and everything else, gmail.com, blah, blah, blah. If not, well, then fuck you. And talk to your friends, because you gotta talk to somebody. Alright. May kindness and gratitude, empathy and giving fill all your days with sunshine and rainbows, and also a better world. Good night.